Hello Summoners and welcome back to another ProGuides upcoming changes video. My name is Christoph and today I'll be going over all the upcoming changes that are planned for patch 9.18. All the things that we mention here can be found in the PBE right now or on Riot's dev boards. But please do keep in mind that nothing is set in stone and changes can be made before 9.18 hits the live servers. We'll make sure to keep you guys updated with our patch rundown next week, so click that sub button if you want to see that. Also, there are a few notable changes which will target some of your favorite champions like Akali, Aatrox, Xayah, Kai'Sa, Lee Sin, Zoe, and Jhin, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Riot really wants to shake up the meta right now and bring back these exciting champs like these guys for the World Championships, so let's get ready. But before we get started, I want to make sure you guys click the link below if you want to see huge improvements to your rank this season. Go get yourself a challenger coach and show all your friends how good you can get at League of Legends. We have a ton of other resources on ProGuides.com to help you guys get to a higher rank this season. Go check it out. All right, now with that being said, let's jump right into the video. First things first, we have 4 brand new skins which will be joining us on the Rift next patch. We have Star Guardian Neeko, then Star Guardian Zoe, and lastly we have Star Guardian Xayah and Rakan. I personally love this skin line and I'm super excited to try them out in our next patch. I'm a huge fan of the previous Star Guardian skins, so I'm sure these will not disappoint. Now onto the balance changes, starting with the top lane. Aatrox has been one of the strongest top laners in the game due to his insane healing, burst, and mobility. In patch 9.18, Aatrox is looking to be toned down quite a bit, and Riot's balance team are making significant nerfs to his ultimate, World Ender. But first, his passive Deathbringer stance will have its healing against minions reduced from 100% to 25%. Next up, the movement speed that World Ender grants has been nerfed from 60 to 100% to 30 to 50%. These are pretty impactful nerfs to Aatrox and will definitely hurt his stance in the meta. Having the movement speed bonus cut in half will affect him the most, since that was a key part to his teamfighting potential. On top of that, specific matchups where Aatrox struggled will become so much harder next patch due to his reduced sustain. If you've been following our videos in the past few months, you would have noticed that the much anticipated Teemo rework has gone silent for quite some time. Unfortunately, Riot decided to pull the plug on his update, but will instead compensate with some minor quality of life changes. Firstly, his ultimate Noxious Trap will no longer trigger on inactive Scuttle Crabs. On top of that, the total amount of stacks you can hold at a time will be increased from 3 to 5 depending on the rank. These changes will make Teemo a bit more satisfying to play, but it really sucks how that rework got scrapped. A few days ago, a member from Riot's balance team had told us that Riven was confirmed for buffs in patch 9.18. However, due to a lot of complications and backlash from the community, the buffs for Riven have been cancelled. Sorry, Riven mains. Alright, now let's move on to the jungle. Evelynn has held a solid stance in the meta recently and is receiving buffs for patch 9.18. Her ultimate, Last Caress, will have its damage amplifier against low health targets increased from 100% to 140%. This means that her ultimate has a 180% AP scaling. Holy cow, this is a massive buff for Evelynn, which might even bring her up into the S+ tier for jungle. If this buff gets approved and hits the live server, then objectives like Dragon and Baron are going to be borderline impossible to secure against her. Get those bands ready, because Evelynn will be OP next patch. Lee Sin has held a decent stance in the meta recently and is one of the most popular junglers of Season 9. For patch 9.18, Lee Sin is looking to receive buffs to some of his base stats and his ultimate. Firstly, his base HP has been increased from 570 to 575, and his base AD has been rounded up from 69 to 70. Next, his ultimate Dragon's Rage will have its damage increased by 25 at all ranks, and the cooldown has been lowered from 110 to 60 to 90 to 60. These are some massive buffs for Lee Sin, and it looks like Riot Games is trying to force him into the World Championships meta. They just want more highlight reels for Worlds. Nunu has been one of the most broken junglers in the game for quite some time and was in dire need of a nerf. For patch 9.18, the balance team are looking to even out the playing field and are nerfing multiple parts of Nunu's kit. Firstly, his base health per level has been lowered from 90 to 82, his armor per level decreased from 3.5 to 3, his base mana from 284 to 280, and lastly, his mana regen from 7.44 to 7 flat. Next up, his E Snowball Barrage will have its slow reduced from 50% to 30 to 50%. These nerfs will affect Nunu's strength next patch, but he likely will continue to be a solid pick. pick. So if you've listened to our jungle pick recommendations and picked up Nunu, then don't worry because he'll still be great in 9.18. Warwick has been one of the most awkward champions to play due to multiple bugs and clunky mechanics. For patch 9.18, Riot is looking to smoothen out his gameplay by making his W, Blood Hunt, always grant attack speed against the hunted target. Awesome bug fix, guys. Let's see more of these in the future. Alright, now let's run it down mid. Oh gosh, here we go again. Akali, without a doubt, is the most problematic champion in Season 9. The balance team fail time and time again to balance her out, but are taking another shot at it in patch 9.18. Her ultimate, Perfect Execution, will have its micro stun completely removed, and the second part of that ability will have its max damage lowered from 255 to 645 to 195 to 645. That is a huge nerf. Next up, the cooldown of the ability has been nerfed as well, from 120 to 100 to 160 to 100. Again, another big nerf. The removal of micro stun will impact Akali as a mid laner because some matchups will become exponentially harder, such as Katarina. The damage nerfs are really big, but the biggest nerf is making the cooldown 40 seconds longer. At this point, her ultimate is on a longer cooldown than a Mumu or Nocturne's ult, which is insane. If you main Akali, then now is the time to jump ship. Press F to pay respects. Annie has been a somewhat forgotten champion recently, but she's receiving some changes next patch. Her E, Molten Shield, will now grant movement speed decaying over 1.5 seconds. However, to compensate for the buffs, her E will have its damage reduction lowered from 16 to 40% to 8 to 20%, and the cooldown has been increased by 5. Overall, analysts are saying that this is a nerf and will make Annie a lot worse. At level 3, she basically only has a 28% movement speed buff decaying over 1.5 seconds and is now squishier than ever. Aurelion Sol received a mini rework this patch, and it had a lot of negative backlash from the community. He feels really clunky to play, the W is unsatisfying, and he feels a lot weaker overall. For patch 9.18, A-Sol will receive some love, and his base HP has been increased from 510 to 575. This will likely not solve all the issues with the new A-Sol rework, and he'll probably continue to be a hated pick in patch 9.18. Echo has been on the rise lately, and his play rate and win rate have shot up significantly the past few weeks. Next patch, Echo is receiving some buffs which will help him out even more. His W, Parallel Convergence, will have its mana cost lowered from 50 to 70 to 30 to 50, and the stun duration increased from 1.75 seconds to 2.25 seconds. This is a great buff for Echo, and he will definitely see pro play within the next coming weeks. Having the lower cost on the W will mean that you can now use it more freely during laning as a zoning tool while you CS. I'm sure the Echo mains will love this buff, and we highly recommend you pick him up for next patch. Also, make sure to try out Echo Jungle because that will get a lot better as well. Zoe's confirmed to receive buffs next patch, so get those bands ready. Her passive More Sparkles will have its base damage increased from 10 to 124 to 16 to 130, depending on your level. This is a very small buff for Zoe and will likely not change anything. 6 damage really doesn't do that much. Alright, on to Sylas. The nerfs planned for Sylas have been pushed back to patch 9.19, so you can continue to play him freely this patch. Next up, we have the ADCs. Caitlyn has been a solo queue terror recently and is receiving a tiny buff this patch. Her base AD has been increased from 60 to 62, and this won't do much, but it will definitely help a little bit out with those last hits. Xayah has held a near 100% picker ban rate in competitive play and was long overdue for some nerfs. Firstly, her base armor has been lowered from 28 to 25, and her ultimate Featherstorm will receive the Akali treatment and have its cooldown increased from 120 to 100 to 160 to 100. This is a pretty significant nerf that will impact her stance in both solo queue and competitive play. Kai'Sa has been one of the strongest AD carries in the game and is also receiving nerfs next patch. Her E Supercharge will have its attack speed lowered from 40 to 80% to 40 to 60%. What most players won't notice is that you can easily make this back up by taking Alacrity instead of the traditional Bloodline rune. So overall, Kai'Sa might just end up sacrificing her lifesteal instead of her attack speed, which is pretty big. Kai'Sa is one of the only AD carries who doesn't build any lifesteal, so having Bloodline was really important. We're not exactly sure what the Kai'Sa mains will opt to do, but overall it will make her a little bit weaker. Jin's been on the rise recently, and his play rate and win rate have gone up within the past few weeks. For patch 9.18, Jin will receive the Caitlyn treatment, and his base AD will be increased by 2. Nothing to see here, that's all for Jin. Miss Fortune has been a forgotten champion recently, but is looking to receive some love next patch. Her E, Make It Rain, will have its slow increase from 28 to 60% to 40 to 60%. This is a great buff for MF, and it'll also help out her AP support build. Make sure to try that out next patch because it's the #1 counter to Zyra, who is becoming more and more popular. Vayne was planned to receive some buffs this patch, but due to complications and negative backlash from the community, the buffs have been cancelled. Lastly, there are 2 changes we want to go over. First up, the Garen rework was planned for patch 9.18, but we're not exactly sure if he'll be released then. Next, there was a Shaco rework as well, coming in either patch 9.19 or 9.20. Here is a very quick and brief rundown of what we know. His passive will do bonus damage on targets you're behind or if they're feared. The passive attacks can crit, and his Deceive will benefit from his passive to some degree. His Q will have its stealth changed to 2.5 to 3.5 seconds depending on the level. The CD will be lowered, the AD ratio down, and the AP ratio removed. His E will now deal magic damage instead of physical, the bonus AD ratio in addition to the AP ratio, and 50% increased damage on enemies below 30% instead of 0 to 50% damage by enemy missing health. Lastly, his R will now have boxes trigger immediately and will fear for 1.5 seconds flat. In addition, the explosion radius will have its damage reduced. And that's it for Shaco. Alright, so that concludes the video for the upcoming changes of patch 9.18. Let us know what change you guys are most excited about in the comments down below. And if you guys like this video, then please click the like button and consider subscribing to see more content like this in the future. Also, make sure to click the description link below if you guys want to see huge improvements to your rank right now. Thank you so much for watching, good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.